All right, so welcome to a bit of a discussion here on game design analysis, where we're going to be analysing a series of games with a focus on their design. So I am Chris, and I'm here with
Hi, I'm Fraser.
Fraser, and we're going to be talking today about actually the first one in the series is going to be Control. So, and then hopefully, if we carry on, if we make it through here, we're going to talk about Alan Wake 2 as well. And particularly, who knows, we may even sort of go further. What was that other game in the series
I
you were talking
think
about,
Quantum
Fraser?
Break will
Quantum
be
Break.
interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So we may go to Quantum Break as well, which was before Control, wasn't it?
Yes.
In the series. So okay, so we're starting in the middle, going
Perfect.
to the next one, and then we might go to Quantum. Do you have Quantum? I haven't played it, so do you have Quantum Break?
I do. Yes.
All right, cool. So yeah, okay, so maybe we'll do that. We'll do that one as well. So we're going to be talking about we're going to be going through Control today, the first sort of hour or so, and looking at sort of design elements. So what do we mean by that? We can kind of categorize the game elements as like gameplay slash mechanics, essentially what you do in the game, stuff you do, interactivity, all that sort of stuff. Then of course there's the story, the narrative, which includes actually particularly for a game like Control. There's a lot of narrative there. There's a lot of story elements. There's a lot of different ways they tell the story. And then finally the art. So we've got both the visual design and the audio design as well. So there's a bit through this. Obviously, audio design means music, sound effects, atmospherics, etc., etc. So that's the first thing. Did you want to? I mean, do you want to comment on that at all, Fraser? Does that work for you?
Yeah, I think you briefly touched it, but yeah, in a game like Control and Alan Wake and Quantum Break as well, I think it's almost impossible to really get a good picture of the gameplay without discussing things like the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's due to Remedy's sort of approach to making games. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Cool. So yeah, we're going to be talking about the elements of the game, and but I guess the more salient questions that I'm personally interested in looking at are things like what are the unique factors that make this game, particularly like a Remedy game, and then also how do the game elements work together to give this game its X factor. Excuse me. So I mean, Control was Game of the Year, wasn't it? Back in goodness me, I don't even know when it was made. 2021 was it?
I think it was earlier than that.
2019.
Let me have a quick Google. 2019 Game Awards. Control was a nominee.
Nominee.
Um,
Okay.
yeah,
Didn't win.
doesn't appear to have. But I know it was renowned, especially for its narrative, with
Right.
a lot of outlets.
Right. Right. So particularly the narrative. So when I talk about X Factor, I mean, um, because you can have. We were talking just before we started, about there's the idea and then there's the execution. So the X Factor really is the execution and bringing all the different elements together to make something which is more than the sum of its parts. I would say, it has something to it, which is makes it a really engaging experience. And I don't think that many games necessarily get to that point. But I think maybe Control is one of those. The Last of Us, I'd say, is probably another one. So that's one of the things I'm particularly interested in. How do the elements work together to give us that X factor? And in fact, how do the elements work together to give the game, or to actually create those different player experiences? A particular interest of mine as well. So yeah, did you want to make any other comments, Fraser, at this point?
Uh, I think for now, I'm happy to jump into looking at some of the gameplay, and then we can revisit these questions, perhaps.
Sure. Yeah, sure. I should also say, I mean, you're a big fan, aren't you? You're
Huge, yeah.
okay. You're a huge fan. How many times have you gone through, say, Control? How many times have you finished it?
I played it once on console, and then played it again with all the DLCs on PC, and then I have almost finished playing through again recently. So
Okay.
almost finished my third playthrough.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. So you really like the game.
Yes.
Fair enough. I'm a noob. I just finished it a couple of days ago, in fact. So I enjoyed it. One of the first things actually I might bring up, though, which I think is interesting before we jump in and start playing, or I'm going to be playing. So I'm the noob, but yeah, yeah, I'm going to be playing. So you can see complete mission 10. So I've done that. That's there. So I just want to go through. So there's all these different achievements, and I thought it was really interesting because I looked at these. So let's go through. Where's the first one? Down here a bit, isn't it? So no, we've gone past this. So where's the? Now I can't find the first one. So you only get you have to complete mission 4. Is that the first one where you get a mission achievement? Or are there more down here? I cannot recall. I don't think so. But anyway, what I want to look at, so things like this. So was it 51% of players cleansed 10 control points, and that, I guess that's interesting. So 50% managed to sort of get through those first 10 sections of the game. Side missions, so complete 5 side missions. I didn't even know that I completed 5 side missions, honestly. But then what I was more interested in are these ones. So Old Boys Club, which is mission 4, about 48, almost 50% players actually achieved that achievement, which is kind of interesting. So even if people, and presumably this is people who've bought the game and played the game. So of those who paid money for it, less than 50% got to mission 4, which is kind of interesting. Now I'm talking about this because I think this impacts questions about design as well. This is why I'm bringing this up now. The next one, so we dropped down to 44% between mission 4 and mission 5. Mission 6, we dropped down 40%. Mission 7, 35.8. Where are we? Mission 8, 33%. So only a couple of percent dropped down that time. So I guess if you get to this point, you're pretty committed. Polaris, we've got 32.3, and then the final one, 31.8. I just find it interesting. We don't have to sort of necessarily sort of go into that, but I think it's something to think about while we're doing this as to why so few people, manage to get to complete mission 10 or even, mission 9. Do you have any? I mean, maybe just first up, do you have any ideas?
Yeah, what jumps to mind for me, and it probably is very likely to do with the sort of bubble I was in terms of games media. I remember seeing a lot of coverage that was like, Control is a fantastic game if you like X type of game.
Mm-hmm.
And so I almost wonder if there was a lot of people who played Control and loved it, but also a lot who played it and it wasn't for them, and so bounced off. But the fact that it drops pretty steadily from mission to mission maybe suggests that this is a more natural sort of rate of fall off for a game. I'm not 100%.
I think you're probably right there. I would imagine, actually, to be honest, that if you go to and look at other games, it might even be worse. We won't do that today, but it might be something worth look at later. I mean, the fact is that nearly a third of players actually finished it. I'd suggest that might be quite high. To be honest, I reckon that might be quite high. So
I would love to see. I'd love to see those numbers for the console achievements as well, and see if there's a difference between PC players and console players.
Absolutely. Well, maybe that's something we'd look into, later down the track. Let's jump in. Let's jump in and actually have a look at it, and I can wipe all my progress, which is fantastic.
You mean you get to start your second playthrough?
Oh, actually, hang on. Just a second. I've got to plug in my controller. will my controller work as you? Haven't plugged it in. Late.
The trusty USB Windows sound effect.
Yeah. I was thinking the other day, I mean, how often... Oh, thank God it works. So if we go mission select, unknown caller's the first one, yeah?
Yes.
Should we give it a go?
Yeah, let's go.
Actually, first thing I want to point out, I love this, the background here. I mean, this design, yeah, just this design is exceptional.
They
and of
use
course
a similar effect in Alan Wake 2, so you can look forward to that.
Well, I've started. Yeah, I have started Alan Wake 2, and yeah, it's going to be. There's going to be some interesting comparisons, I think, when we get there. I don't want to. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole just yet, though. So yeah, we'll wait for that one. All right, I'm going to hit this, and we'll overwrite all my previous progress. That sucks.
Yeah.
That's I mean, from a design point of view, I think that's nasty. I think that's not being very nice.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I would love to have a separate save slot.
Yeah. I think they should. Anyway, that's all we can do. Oh,
I would love to ask if there's a particular reason you chose to play with a controller.
I think I tried because I did. I think the first time I played with a mouse and keyboard, and I found it terrible. And when I started playing, actually we're too far in. Okay, hang on.
I guess new game to get the very beginning.
Did you play with a controller or a keyboard?
I did play with a controller. I did try a mouse and keyboard, and I find with the number of abilities you end up with towards the end of the game, it gets a bit clunky for me on a keyboard.
Yeah. Look, even I
especially-
think doing melee, I think is what's the melee key? It's some weird key on the keyboard. Yeah. I found.
This is gonna be weirder than
Okay.
usual.
Here we go.
Can't be helped. You called me. So here I am. I know I shut you out sometimes. I'm always glad to hear from you. It's just that I get my hopes up. So many times it's led to nothing. I found nothing. It's like we live in a room and there's a poster on the wall. We stare at it and we think that's the whole world. The room and the poster. The picture's something nice. A landscape, a famous person. Like in that movie, what is it called? The prison movie. The room's a cell, and the picture, it's different for each of us. It can be beautiful or terrible, but we're all transfixed. But it's all a lie. Something to distract us from the truth. They're lying to us. We're lying to ourselves. The room's not the world. The world is much bigger and much stranger. There's a hole hidden behind that poster that leads to the real world. We all feel safe in that room. But sometimes something crawls out from behind the poster. And the ones that see it happen freak out and try to forget what they saw. I'm here. Why did you bring me here? anyone here?
Hey, I can look around.
It's a hell of an opening monologue.
Yeah, look, I've got to comment on the visual style. I mean, you can't not. The visual style in this game is really something else. The lighting, it is the lighting that gives it what it's got. I don't know much about it, but you know, my own stuff. It certainly has that look of like a pre-rendered style, because it's got the soft shadows and everything. But of course, I know it's also got dynamic lighting in it as well, so it'd be nice to know how that works. And the sort of soft bloom like works really nicely as well.
Yeah, it's very striking. The visuals, the narrative, and the gameplay, I think they all have that similar quality for sure.
I think my observation is that I'm pretty sure they've got some pretty talented graphics programmers on the team. I don't know whether is this done in a particular engine? Do you know?
Yeah, Northlight, which is Remedy's in-house
Their own,
engine.
yeah. That's I think that's how you get, that's how you get the particular look. Is having your own engine. I know these days, it's very nice to have, the Unreal Engine.
This seal. I saw it a long time ago. I keep seeing it in my dreams.
It's nice to have the Unreal Engine, but of course it's also limiting. And one of the real criticisms I've got of games these days is they all look the same.
Yeah, I can. There's obviously, especially in the indie space, a lot of variants, but I feel like there is just this sort of like base level noise of games that all have that sort of Unreal Engine look for sure.
Yeah. I mean, you can get away from it, but it takes a bit of effort to get away from it as well. Even the toilets, the lighting it's just beautiful. It's just got such an atmosphere to it. It's obviously quite brutal too.
The props as well go such a long way. Like in there was a random broom in the cubicle, and then when you turned around, there was like a stepladder against the wall. It feels really lived in, really used.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I haven't really looked at... Oh no, wrong one. Nice interface too. Like this is a really nice menu, to be honest, as well. I do really like it. I like the sound. Also the sound. It gives you a nice I don't know, what would you call it? It just feels like you're using something. I don't know. It's hard to say. So we've got the story stuff here. This is where the story stuff happens. I don't think I'm going to go and read through all these, but so we start seeing the story here, which is cool. Missions and all that, and we don't even have a weapon yet.
It is a very responsive menu, which I can really appreciate.
So if we start talking about Hideo Kojima's games, you're going to see the opposite end of the spectrum. It's like,
oh, interesting.
It's funny because I was playing. It's one of my pet hates with Death Stranding, and then I went and started playing that game that I always forget the name of.
Metal Gear Solid 5?
That's right. And it was exactly the same bloody interface. So, yeah, it's just as bad. And it's not good. Alright, so... here we go. And we're gonna... So, exploration's obviously a big part of this. The exploration's good, though. I enjoy the exploration in here. It's not... I don't know. It's not... Sometimes you can get too much, I guess.
Hello?
I think the environment's the same as what I was saying before. Like the level of detail and the convincingness of the environments makes them fun to explore. But for me personally, that exploration opens up the most once you get the hover ability, and you can start to chain abilities to really get into some high and distant places.
Okay. I'm not sure that I ever made it quite that far.
Hey, excuse me.
I hate to talk over Artie, but
Yeah.
did you find any of the secret rooms hidden behind walls and stuff?
Oh, maybe not. I don't know.
It adds another layer to that exploration. In certain locations, you'll see
Thanks.
like a framed photo,
Elevator
and it's
that
like a
way.
broken wall.
Got it.
And
Oh,
if you
okay.
melee it or throw some sort of explosive, it breaks the wall, and there's treasure hidden behind.
Oh.
And I think it's far more satisfying for me hiding those sort of things behind the destructible environment, which I think is really impressive. How much can be destroyed, and so to incentivize that, I really enjoyed.
I had no idea.
Loner jobs to know it makes us come off weird.
But
I
I
have
think
to
that's
say-
one of the
Janitor
things
is a
that's great
friendly
about
face
Remedy
in my
games is
book.
when they'll hide things like that are so missable. And it's sort of like if you find it, it's a great moment, and then if you don't, you just
Said.
never know.
I know what you're thinking. If there's an axe murderer around, that's him.
I have to say I do really like the janitor, and I like the fact that he's very, I think, Swedish. I'm assuming. And he's
Finnish.
Is it Finnish? Is it?
Yes, fairly son.
Okay.
could
And
be
that he
wrong, but-
sings, well, let's say Scandinavian, and that he sings songs and stuff. Obviously, songs that other people from that part of the world might know. It's kind of nice to have that sort of stuff. Okay. Now that's interesting as well. So we've just been that way, and we just somehow ended up. Did we go the wrong way? No.
It plays a little trick on you.
Yeah,
Loops around.
yeah,
Very
yeah.
satisfying though.
Okay, so we're going here.
I think introducing Artie so early does such a favor for the intrigue of the game as well.
I saw behind the poster. They told
like,
me
I think
I imagined it.
Even if you're not super aware of what control is, you know there's some sort of paranatural things going on. And I think by having a character who can, I think he just reads your mind back there, sort of introduces that really early on and then offers no explanations. I know for me, it kept me going through sort of the tutorial parts of the game at the start here.
Okay. So again, the visual style is very strong in this game. And I think that probably continues with Alan Wake 2 as well.
Yeah, they definitely didn't dial back the stylization.
Yeah.
I am now thinking about all the little bits of visual flair and style I've stolen to decorate my desk from Control and Alan Wake.
Fair enough. This is the other thing as well, like the way they have the.
Did I lose you there for a moment?
So
You know
I'll
what's on
pause
my
while
mind.
she's talking.
My baby brother, Dylan. 17 years since the men of this bureau took him.
What? Oh.
Yeah, the title cards are
Yeah.
stunning.
And again, that's something that you see in Alan Wake 2 as well. So it's kind of interesting. Let's go in here first. I mean, there may be a danger that, it could become a bit cliched after a while. Oh, we can't get in. Oh, okay. Alright, so...
I
going
think
back in
the
here again.
accompanying sound effect for the title cards is also part of what makes them so satisfying for me.
Yes, yeah. The combination of the sound and the... oh, there we go. I don't know. I'm interested to know actually. The way that I tend to treat the collectibles, is I tend to save them up. Do you do that, or because now I've got a whole lot?
I think if I'm really into the game and I'm sort of pursuing that main quest line, then yeah, they kind of bank up. And it's sort of when I get a break, I'll go and check them. Or if I'm not super invested, then I'll sort of take any excuse to sort of stop and read some of the material, yeah.
Because there's a lot to read.
And watch, which I find interesting.
Shit. You want me to pick it up? The murder weapon? Really?
I would love to talk to some of the level designers and the architecture, how they came to designing these rooms.
And there goes the poster.
Objects of power can cause or be results of AWE's altered world events, intrusions upon the perceived reality. Now, the service weapon is, of course, a prime example of an OOP, a very powerful one. Ingrained in the Bureau's DNA, a key component in our prime candidate program. Come out of that Russian roulette a winner and you're it.
Look at this place. Where am I?
So this is definitely a little cool thing as well. The way they've done this.
The way the narrative justifies tutorial areas, I think, is really compelling and helps them stand out from other games where tutorials would be just text or sort of feel disjointed from the game itself.
Melee. Yeah. Okay. This is like I think the one and only time I use melee in the entire game.
Oh, really?
As soon as I get the gun, there's no more melee in my game.
The same guy.
On this most recent playthrough of mine, I fully completed the telekinesis skill tree before putting points into any other ability.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah, I think the
Now I have
telekinesis might be the most satisfying part for me in the whole game. Although this primary weapon, the default form of the service weapon, is really satisfying.
Yeah, it's the only one I used. It's the only one I used. I think. Oh no, I used the bomb one.
Yep.
In the end.
It's something with the fire rate and the accuracy. Like, you can land precise shots if you slow down your fire rate, but if someone's right up in front of you, you can really spam the trigger.
Oh, seriously? Oh, hang on. Sorry.
From a
They're shooting
design
back!
Yeah.
Bastards.
The design choice sort of... Because I think it's upsetting that, at least from our playthroughs, we barely use any of the other weapons. And it's like, you know, all that effort and thought into parts of the game that don't really get touched.
Have you tried using them?
Yeah, I've used the sniper one a bit and the shotgun one a bit.
Right.
But if I'm in a panic, I just default to this main form.
Okay, that's
and
interesting.
I don't know. I find, like I said, like the main form is really versatile for different situations.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it's a bit of a trade-off whether you want a versatile default form, or if you want to limit it to force players to swap to something more effective.
Yeah, they could have. certainly in other games, it's pretty rare actually that I'd only use the one type of weapon. And particularly the one they begin with. Like, normally, I guess, the default weapon is the sort of crappy one.
Something's coming. This threat. An attack. Duty as director. Keep the Bureau safe.
Did you hear that? It's the dead man. Right after the pyramid spoke to me, and it was just noise, and I understood every word. And this gun's alive. You know what? I'm happy. Happy to be here.
Cool.
Things have quieted down outside. Is it safe to go?
We've got a gun now. I reckon it may not be.
That would be an underwhelming
Yeah.
start.
Here we go. Now my gun's not as useful.
You can't let this happen. 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 You stopped it. You... Oh, thank you. That was... horror. Get the fuck away!
Well, love that. Hey. Now, I just wanted to mention, you quite like the mixture of live action and CG, yeah?
Yes, definitely.
Because I have heard other people say they don't like that about it, which I find that quite interesting. Have you come across people who are the same, who don't like it?
Yeah, no, for sure. And I know, like a couple friends who have seen me play or have played the start bit and been turned off, especially by that moment with Jesse.
The one here that we just went through?
Just then.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. Why? What particular was it that they didn't like about that?
I'm honestly not sure, and I can understand when we're so used to games that are sort of, I guess, fixed medium. I can understand it being jarring.
Uh-huh.
But scenes like this, to me, it's just
Reach the hotline.
exudes creativity, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I almost feel
hotline.
inspired seeing
Dead man.
this amount of play
Okay.
in such a, high budget, high quality game.
Mm.
Makes me excited to try and do weird things or different things and see what sticks.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I think it works quite well, to the point where I don't really think about it so much, and that might be because the models themselves are pretty well defined. Obviously, this is a less detailed model of Jesse. The close-ups we have though are quite the model for the close-ups is quite detailed. So there's not that much difference between the live action and the CG stuff.
And I think that is crucial because I feel like the Casper Darling videos are some of their strongest live action uses.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think a good part of that is the fact that we never see... I don't believe we ever see a 3D model of Casper Darling. It's
No.
always Matthew in front of the camera.
Matthew, you know him, do you?
I was just thinking about it earlier. He also is the voice for Alan Wake,
Yes, I noticed that.
but not the face model. So
No.
I've heard in interviews him talk about how exciting it was to sort of have a part that calls on both his voice and his face. So
Sorry, I'm just focused at the moment. Oh, the sounds. Is that dropping out for you? Or is that just me?
Yeah, it's a little choppy. Yeah,
That might be my computer. It's a little bitchy sometimes.
it's got a lot going on.
Yes,
I think this area is surprisingly one of the higher demand areas. I was watching the GDC talk. I don't remember who gave it, unfortunately, but they were discussing the destructible environments and how there was some trouble once they had the static environments. People would go in and place all the props and destructible elements, and their priority is making a compelling environment.
Whoops.
But that can cause a lot of load if
Absolutely.
players happen to start running through chairs and tables.
Yeah, like that. Oh no. No, I wanted to show that. That was, I mean, because that's quite interesting. The change in all the photos. So the
It
destructibles
feels-
and the physics, I'm assuming, take quite a lot of processing power.
Yeah, they were saying it's also hard to sort of quantify how much it takes just because there's so many levels of it.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying that was one of the challenges, sort of identifying what will actually be a huge load on the CPU and GPU.
Okay, what is this?
Reminder, if you experience an unanticipated building shift, follow these simple steps. 1. Search the room for any altered items or objects of power. 2. Carry the altered item or object of power to the nearest safe room. 3. Wait for Bureau staff to find you and the object. If there are no altered items or objects of power in the vicinity, then reach your supervisor via the nearest intercom and await further instructions. Thank you for your attention.
So these are the other, I mean, really nicely produced, the sort of media stuff there, telling the story.
I think thinking about those questions we asked at the start, and specifically what makes this a Remedy game, I think my answer for that definitely is the use of mixed media.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, yeah.
Because it's, I guess, for me, as far as what I've seen and played, it is really uniquely them. I don't see many other studios going so heavy into the use of live action, especially. And I think Alan Wake 2, with its 20-minute short film inside the game, sort of really demonstrates that point quite well.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I can think of any other games that that do that. Can you think of any specific ones? Hey, there we go.
The only, and the red is so nice.
Yeah.
Sound that tried to invade me
The only
earlier.
other thing that comes to mind is
Hiss.
early
Went
FMV
into
games,
Everything in this place.
but even
Is the hiss
those,
your
you know,
All right.
they have
that's
like
our enemy.
a different process
That
than
battle's contagious. It burrows in
how
like an
Remedy
infuriating
introduces sort of
melody that
live-action
makes you hum it
photography into
over
it.
and over.
So FMG is what?
Sorry, FMV. I think it's full motion video.
Oh, okay.
So those games back in the day.
Oh
when,
shit, I hate those things. Oh, damn.
when it was reasonable to sort of take video and compress it down and
Yes,
use
yes,
that
yes.
rather than
Yeah. Actually, was it one of the first games I played? Return from Zork. No, Zork Nemesis. That's right. It was like that. Yeah. Back in 1998, a long time ago. Was one of the first games that I'm like, oh wow, this medium is really quite extraordinary. I think these things. I reckon this is trolling, isn't it? Yeah. This shit. That to me feels like yeah. I feel like I'm being trolled. Like you're trying to get around, you're trying to avoid these things, and then all of a sudden, you know, you're picking these things up. You're not really thinking about it, and all of a sudden it's like, here's this music you just don't want.
yeah.
Oh, hang on, what's going on here? I got to jump down, do I?
Yep. Into the clearly not an arena.
Oh no, I can't even dodge now? Oh! I'm gonna die. I don't have a dodge.
Yeah, it really starts you off with
Run, run, run! Thank God they're crap shots.
I think the movement and the general combat mechanics really hold up, though. The sprint has a good weight to it, but gets you moving fast enough. I think the camera positioning in this default space is really nice, and it's a good amount of zoom as well when you aim down sights. It all, like as the base combat stuff, I think it does a good job.
Plus the NPCs can't shoot for shit. Which is fine. That's, you know, of course. They have to do that. Well,
Yeah.
they're supposed to lose.
And these are the fodder ones as well, you know, like you get the telekinetic enemies who their telekinetic weapons sort of require you to dodge out the way. You can't just run.
Yeah, later on, yeah. I mean, I just pressed it all the time.
Can't tell you how happy I am to talk to somebody sane.
Shoot, dodge, shoot, dodge.
Yeah, I'm Pope, Emily Pope, Dr. Darling's assistant.
My turn. Should I lie? Jesse Faden. I'm just visiting. I should have lied.
Oh shit!
It's a fantastic
You're the new
camera
director?
angle.
Hold on, we're coming out.
Director Faden.
Call me Jesse.
Okay, Jesse. I'm Emily. Look, somehow this hostile force, this
Hiss?
that works. Somehow the hiss managed to infiltrate the building without any warning.
And just like that, my name for it is official. The hiss. Like the sound of poison gas leaking in.
We're in full lockdown. It seems to have spread everywhere and to everyone not protected by an HRA. And, extraordinarily, you. You are the director, and that makes you special by definition. Trench is no longer the director, obviously. I'm sorry, I'm talking too much. This whole situation is just a lot.
Trench is dead. Shot.
Ah.
I found his body. And the gun. Do I tell her it looked like a suicide?
The service weapon.
Also, and this can sound crazy, but he keeps appearing to me, saying things. It's hard to make out, but he told me to cleanse the control point, push the hiss out. The whole room shifted around.
You did that? And you entered the building when it was already in the lockdown before you became the new director? How?
I'm not ready to tell her about you yet. A janitor let me in.
I love it. This is fucking unbelievable. I can't even... Look, Jesse, I have a million questions, and you probably have a million more.
Like, do you know my brother Dylan? Not yet.
But there's something I need to ask you to do first. If you can cleanse a control point, then you can maybe cure those infected or possessed by the hiss. Because if that's possible, our options are very different.
Emily Pope. I don't know her, but I like her already. She's the opposite of the faceless agency I've blamed for what happened to me for so long. But I can't trust her yet. Or rather, the Bureau she's a part of. Yes. I can try. I'm speaking for you, of course. We can try it together. Okay. You with me? We did it before. Push the hiss out.
Right. So I feel like we've just started, but it's actually how long have we been recording? 45 minutes. So we're kind of going to look at wrapping it up here. So maybe I don't know whether we should have some sort of final comments before we finish up.
Yeah, I think probably addressing that last question, which was, what sort of gives Control its X factor.
What do you reckon?
I think it's there's been several moments, even in these really early parts, and even in that last conversation, where she says something about the director, by definition, is special, and obviously, you just walk into this building, and then instantly you become the director. All the photos change. Everyone knows who you are. They all address you as such. It sort of reflects how, you are playing a game where you're the main character, you're the one being controlled. Like, Jesse is being controlled by the player. They are inherently different to all of the NPCs. And I think that is just a glimpse into the way Remedy games, all of the departments sort of work together and reinforce each other. And like you said at the start, sort of individual aspects coming together to be more as a whole than they are as individuals. And so yeah, I think for me the X factor to Control is just that, the way every part, the art, the narrative, the sound design, and the gameplay all feed into this idea that sort of, as a meta, you can read as you are the player, you're the main character, you'll get to the resolution of this story.
Yes, I definitely agree. You've got all those different factors working together really well. So it's got great gameplay, great mechanics. It's got, we were saying before, we were talking about the visual style, the lighting, the color schemes, all that sort of stuff. The music, the sound design, all works really well to support everything else within the game as well. So they all come together to create that experience. Not to forget the narrative as well. The story itself is extremely important. So yeah, definitely an excellent game. Anything else you wanted to say?
I think it's just that I guess for me, there are a lot of other games with a similar sort of gameplay, in terms of you have a couple weapons and you have some sort of supernatural abilities. But it is just that, like, none of those other games have every element working together to create one single piece that is quite as good as Control, in my opinion.
And also it just works really well. So again, the execution, the way that the combat works is it's just the feel, and I think this is where that something is just goes beyond the sort of ordinary. It's when and it's very hard to define. The feel of the game itself has something. It does have that X factor. The feel of the combat, the moving around, the interaction. It all works together really well to sort of create something which is, which definitely has that X factor, and makes it sort of I think it does make it beyond just an ordinary game. As you know, I do get to look at a lot of student games as well, so you can often tell when you're just starting out. Obviously, as a student doing student games, it's sort of just beginning, but you can very much see the sort of first steps, and it's usually rougher, and you can kind of tell things don't come together as well as in a game like this. Whereas I think what we're seeing here is a studio really at the top of its game.
Definitely
bringing everything together, and I would actually, I did start playing Alan Wake once I finished Control a couple of days ago. And I have to admit, I think Control is a better game. I haven't gone very far through it yet. I think the graphics and everything in Alan Wake are probably better, the level of models and everything. But as far as game goes, I think Control is actually the better game. So that's
I definitely
personal.
prefer the moment-to-moment gameplay in Control,
Mhm.
but it does remind me of how, like in my opinion, Control is such a step up in terms of gameplay from Quantum Break, and
Okay.
so with Alan Wake's shift to more of that like survival horror style of gameplay, reminiscent of things like the modern Resident Evils, I would love to see. I can't wait to see what Remedy will do to improve that sort of style of gameplay in the next
Yeah.
Alan Wake.
Well, okay, we'll have to talk about that when we have a look at Alan Wake 2. So one of the things that was motivating me to do these is really not just look at one game as we are obviously today, but is to actually look at a series of games. So we've been talking about Alan Wake 2 and Quantum Break. So because I think there's more to be gained from going through and analyzing those in light of each other, comparing them to each other, because they're made by the same studio, the same kind of team. And I think I have a feeling, the sort of analysis we've been doing today really is probably relatively is not maybe as deep as or as subtle as we may find out by actually going through the different games, because I think there was a lot of subtlety there, and I think it's things that we'll only notice when we're actually going through and doing that. So we will do that. I don't feel like we've got very far through. In fact, we've only got to the first section. I'm not sure whether we need to sort of go through any further. Do you have any thoughts on that? We could obviously spend more time, but yeah.
I think if we did come back, I would love to jump in closer to the end of the game to talk about how the abilities all function together.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if we want to go back to Quantum Break, because like I said, those two games share very similar structure for that combat gameplay, especially.
Oh, so maybe that's something we can think about doing before we look at Quantum Break.
Cool.
Yeah, but I think next time I'd like to look at Alan Wake 2.
Yep.
I think it's worth checking these two out, because there definitely are similarities. Going straight from one to the other, I was like, I mean, you can even see, like, from a technical sort of graphics programming point of view, say, okay, yeah, those things are the same. They've obviously, this is a feature of their engine, which, to be honest, I think you'd find it quite hard to repeat, say, in the Unreal Engine or Unity. I think you'd have to get in and do some engine level modifications to do some of the things, like having the dynamic. They've kind of got like that dynamic overlay with the director that we saw. That I think I'm not sure how you do that in Unreal Engine or Unity. It could be quite taxing. You could really destroy your frames if you did it the wrong way. But yeah, obviously that's sort of something they've got and they use in both of those. So we'll jump in and check that out next time. But yeah, thanks Fraser for coming along and providing your knowledge and expertise in this game.
Thanks for letting me chat about Control and Remedy games.
No worries. We'll be back hopefully to talk about Alan Wake 2 as well. So cool. Thanks very much.